Hi guys, welcome to my Birdie tutorial, Birdie on Street Fighter 5. There are a few tutorials out there, they mainly just touch on the basics. I'm going to go into slightly more detail, so I'm going to go through Birdie's normals, his specials, a few combos, V-trigger usage, and then I'm going to talk about a few matchups, matchup difficulties for Birdie. So hopefully this will be useful for beginners that are just getting to grips with Birdie, but also people who've been using Birdie for a while. You'll probably find out a couple of useful little tidbits for Birdie. So Birdie's normals, and I'm just going to go through this fairly quickly. I don't want to spend too much time on his normals. But medium kick is his button that you want to use all the time because it's really good. It has ridiculous range on it compared to other characters' pokes. And so you want to be using that all the time. It's fast enough for a move that has that range on it. That is definitely fast enough. If you're just out of range with that medium kick like that, then his crouching medium kick hits a tiny bit further, although I believe it's 1 frame slower, I think. But that's pretty decent. Just tag them from that decent range. Standing hard punch is really good. It's got the best range, probably one of the best ranges of any poke in the game. You can hit them from ridiculous distances. It's pretty slow, and you've got to be careful using it because the kind of distance that you're using it is the distance that they can jump straight at you and tag you. So if they jump at the same moment that you stick that out, then they're going to get a full combo. You have got standing light kick. That is your quickest normal 4-frame startup, which is the same as his crouching light kick. So standing light kick, crouching light kick, both 4 frames. So if you get knocked down and you think your opponent's going to come in for a slightly delayed hit, then it's great to just go standing light kick, standing light punch into headbutt. So that's a decent combo for when you're tagging them between their hits. And again, you can do the same with light kick, with crouching light kick. So crouching light kick, standing light kick into light punch, headbutt. You have got down forwards and hard punch. So that's a fairly decent move. It's got its uses. It looks like it wouldn't really be much use, but it's got decent range on it. It's at a distance where you think that your opponent isn't going to be able to. Your opponent thinks that they're not going to be able to hit you, but it also it goes over lows. So if you think, okay, Ryu's going to do his like crouching medium kick, then you can actually go over it to hit them. But it also goes under fireballs, so that's not hugely useful, but it's useful for when you're at this sort of range against someone like Ryu, and you think they're about to throw a fireball. You can clip them on their startup animation because it's going to push Ryu a little bit further forward when he does his fireball, so it's going to clip him out of it. But also, if he does his fireball just before you get to hit him, then you'll still go under the fireball and hit him. So it's got its uses. And certainly after a lot of Birdie's moves, like this for instance, that's a really great one to go for because if they stick a button out, it's timed perfectly so they'll get hit. And if they try and jump out, which a lot of players are going to want to do because Birdie's pretty scary up close, and they're like, I've just been hit by Birdie, jump away, you'll catch them with that, and it will keep them grounded so you can keep your offense with something like standing medium kick. Crouching hard punch does this, which can be used as an anti-air, but mainly crouching medium punch. That's so good as an anti-air. It's really quick, it hits even people trying to cross you up, and it leaves your opponent in a state where you can follow up. And I'll touch on that in a little bit. But yes, you can anti-air with that crouching hard punch. Mainly what that's used for is crouching hard punch into hard kick chain, which does ridiculous damage. So that's 309 damage for a meterless combo, and that is your bread and butter combo for when you've got your opponent dizzied. You don't need to spend any meter. go in for that. 309, you haven't spent anything. Standing hard kick. That is really useful. So let me just record the opponent jumping in. So you know I was saying that if the opponent jumps in and you anti-air them with medium punch, crouching medium punch, then you get a follow-up. Well, this is where standing hard kick comes into its own. So you can either follow up after that anti-air with the command grab, or you can go standing hard kick. And that just is timed perfectly for them landing. So if they think, okay, I'm going to land and I'm going to press any button whatsoever, apart from like an invincible move, then you will crush counter them. So let me just record that again. So okay, so that is just so I get a crush counter. So there you go. You get that crush counter, you get loads of damage because you can. Oh, let me turn stun off. I don't worry about it. Yeah, so you can get so much damage, meterless, bang, walk forward a little bit, into that. You need to walk forward slightly after you've got the crush counter, because if you're really close then you can do that, but most of the time you're going to be crush countering from this sort of distance, and if you go straight into that, then the chain's going to whiff. So space it correctly, walk forward a little bit, and then do that. So that gives you 250. Okay, that didn't combo. There you go, 3 hits for 329 damage, no meter used at all. Yeah, now Birdie is really a character that you don't need to use meter in combos for the majority of what you're doing. You're better saving the meter for that, because that's ridiculous. And anyone, even high-level players that have got really good reactions, they're busy looking for your buttons, and then bang, they get thrown by that. So it does 200 damage, which is the same as this. That does 200. No, it doesn't. It does 170. Okay, but that's really what you want to be using your meter on, or saving it for super, because anytime you get a headbutt, you can go straight into super, and that's really good damage. There are uses for EX Bull Horn, so if you hold down any button in the game for a couple of seconds and then release it, it does that. That looks like a great anti-air, doesn't it? It's really not. It will trade a lot of the time, and it will get beaten out a lot of the time, which is really frustrating, because it looks like it will be really, really good. You just see your opponent jumping in, you release it, and it does that. But it's got a few frames of startup, and unless it's both done early and spaced how the game wants you to use this move, then a lot of the time it will just trade or lose out. And if you're losing out completely to a jump in, then you're eating a massive combo, so it's just not worth really using. Only time really to use it is if you're going to do, say you're going to do a cross up and you confirm that it's hit, you then go crouching medium punch into that, because that's one of the few times that you can reliably combo into that. And you can then go into the trigger from that, but we'll touch on combos shortly. Let me think. His forward hard kick, that's 2 hits up close, but mainly you're going to be using at this sort of distance just to get that last hit as an overhead, and that's just mainly just to tag them for a little bit of extra damage at the end of a round. If they're turtling and blocking all of your moves, tag them with that. That's all good. Let me think, what else is there? Yeah, his jumping moves actually. I actually really like jumping medium kick, because people are looking to anti-air, and they're usually looking to anti-air at a certain timing, so bang, they'll anti-air you just before that comes out. Jumping medium kick actually hits a lot lower because you're pushing your leg down, so you can actually hit them before they get a chance to anti-air, and even if you hit them quite high up, you can still combo into standing light kick. So that's like really your bread and butter. Jump in. Jumping medium punch is really good. It's so good. It's even like air to air, meeting someone in the air, that's going to beat them out a lot of the time. It's going to hit whatever direction you land. If you're not sure which direction you're going to land because there's been some weird sort of exchange, medium punch will cross up and it will hit on the same side as well. So that's useful for comboing it into medium punch and then medium headbutt. Yes, your EX bullhorn I was talking about, wasn't I? So that, releasing one button, is fairly useless. If you hold down two buttons, and I think it's best to hold down light kick and hard kick, then you have access to other useful pokes with the other buttons. Then you release those two buttons, it will use one of your EX meters, you'll dash across and hit them. Now the reason that's so good is because it has one hit of armor, so it's perfect for reacting to fireballs, because you have to release the buttons instead of having to like input, you know, a move like a Shoryuken, Hadouken move, anything like that. You're just releasing the buttons, then it means it's a really quick reactionary move, and even at this sort of distance, they do a fireball, you can hit them. So that's a really good use of your meter. And also, yeah, if you get knocked down, as Birdie, the problem Birdie has is he'll get rushed down, and it's sometimes really, really difficult to beat that, because he's got no decent wake-up moves. He's got no invincible wake-up move. He's got no real, like, quick get-off-me move. But that EX bullhorn is really your most useful thing if you think your opponent is going to come in after they knock you down. If you think they're going to come in and try and hit you again, then release those buttons. Now the only problem with that is that pretty much every move in the game, if you were to let me illustrate this. So let's say you've been knocked down. Oh, okay, that didn't work. Let me start again. So you get knocked down, and then they jump in for like a meaty attack, or whatever it is, but it's a meaty attack, whether it's jumping or standing. With pretty much every other move, if you try and input that move before you get up, then there's a few frames, like a buffer window, where you can input it and it will still come out just as you get up. So you've inputted it a few frames early, it will still come out. So with like an EX, sure, you input that a few frames early and it will still beat whatever your opponent's doing. The problem with EX Bullhorn is it doesn't seem to have that buffer window. So if you release that a couple of frames before you stand up, then nothing will come out. Absolutely nothing will come out. So I will just charge that now. So, okay, I get knocked down. There you go. I did actually release those buttons then, and nothing came out because it's very meaty. And maybe that's the problem. If it's so meaty, you just don't have a chance to input it, because the very first frame that you stand up, you're getting hit by something. So it works well for times where your opponent's had to, like, your opponent's knocked you down and they've dashed forward, and they've got a slightly delayed attack. Then you can reverse it with that bullhorn like that. But it's just not very useful for meaty attacks, and that's really where Birdie just has problems, because it's the same within combos as well. You know, you've got your opponent attacking you with all kinds of different things. Unless you time it well to do that in between, then you haven't got anything. You haven't got an answer to their pressure, really. So really, Birdie plays really well just in this range where he's kind of harassing with this medium kick, tagging with a hard punch, and then doing things like this to get in. And yes, that brings me to the can. It's really slow. It's really deceptively slow, because if you do it at any kind of range like this, people can just react to it. They can see it, walk forward, jump in, and tag you. So use it with caution. Use it at a time where maybe you've hit the opponent away, and then you can do that safe enough to get you in, because that's really what that move is for. If you can't get in, you put the can there. You can follow that all the way down. It won't disappear. If they keep walking back, it's just going to stay there. The banana peel, not so useful, but useful from time to time. If you think if they're a kind of opponent that's going to be jumping in all the time, do that. If they jump in, you'll block their move, and then they'll land on your banana skin, and then you can get a medium punch and then a medium punch headbutt. But yeah, full screen, that can is pretty useful. A few little tricks if see how they're reacting to the can, but if they're just going to block it, then you can do that before it even touches them, and then that's pretty good. If they are block, if they're going to block it, then you can actually go forward. It's got that can has got a very, very tiny bit of hit stun, so you can, as soon as it's hit, you can go straight into the command grab, and they're just not expecting it, and they're not going to stick out a button in between then, because it's such a short amount of time, and they think, oh shit, what's happening, and then you go in for that. So that's pretty useful, but most of the time they're going to see that, you walking towards them, and then they're going to try and jump over it. So just be ready with that medium punch. Just see what sort of player they are. If they're not a jumper, if they're not stupid enough to do that, then feel free to do that. To go straight into that. It's pretty useful. Okay, so what's useful with Birdie is to do a tick throw, because Birdie is pretty scary. You get in up close, you've got a lot of tools to scare them, and if you jump in, so let's say, hang on, let's just move a bit further out. So let's say you've jumped in and you do that, you are at a range where you can't throw them because that light kick pushes them out just far enough so you can't do that. If you were to input the light version of his command grab at that point, then you will get them. However, I find what's better is if you've knocked your opponent down, if you go for light kick, then that pushes them less far than if you do the standing medium kick. So if you look at how far it pushes them back with the light kick, it pushes them that far back, but crouching light kick, you're still really, really close to them, so you can still get a hard punch version of the command throw, which does 200 damage, I think. So straight into that. Not many people are going to be reacting to that, especially if you've conditioned them with lots of buttons. Then you go in for that command throw. It's really, really useful, and you can even do that, I think, with the hard punch. Let's find out after you do this. So bang, bang. Yeah, so you can do that, jump in, crouching light kick, into the hard version for 200, and then once they're fearful of that, then they're going to be trying to jump out and do all kinds of other things, and that's when you can hit them with actual hits instead of going for command throws. Now, something that really gets so many people, especially online, and seriously, especially like lower level players, just get tagged by this all the time. If you do something like medium punch into that, everyone is getting beaten by that at the moment. And you can link off other specials, so you can go in for pressure, link off it from light punch. They're just not expecting it. You've got in, you're hitting them with all kinds of normals, and then that comes out, and that's decent. That's 170 damage. But some players will react to that as soon as they see something like the medium punch. They will just do a neutral jump, and that is the way to do it. If you're fighting against another Birdie player and they're doing that a lot, then that's the best way to deal with it. So I'll just record the computer doing that. So neutral jump, and then you can get a full combo, and that's really when you've got to question how useful that move is, because your risk reward on that is really skewed then. If you hit them with it, you're getting 170. If you miss, you're eating a bigger combo, bigger than 170 certainly, and with certain characters, if they've got V-trigger and super stock, they can just take off, like half your health, just for you trying to do that. But it is really, really useful, and it's just best used when you're mixing it in with other things. and they're just not expecting it. You can also, instead of just doing the normal version of that, you can do the EX version. So that is one of the quickest moves in the game to react to, and that's what makes it really, really useful. But you've got to space it properly, and again, it's better just used in moderation. Don't just be throwing it out every time you've got a meter, because people will just jump back and combo you again. So if you do it too close, like this, you'll go over, especially if the opponent is ducking. So you space it, so this sort of spacing, straight into that. People think, okay, I'm in block stand, oh, I'm dead. It's such a really, really good move. So conserve your EX bar when you're doing combos. You gain hardly any damage off of it, and Birdie does enough damage with his just meterless combos, and save the meter for when you're in this footsies battle and you're doing this. The chain is not very useful. It's good for when your opponent's doing fireballs. You can go it basically goes through the fireball and you can grab them, but you've got to space it properly. If you do it out, then the fireball's just going to come back and hit you in the face. And also it's got pretty horrible recovery on it, so if your opponent jumps at you, then you're eating a whole combo. There's not many things that your opponent can punish a well-spaced chain with. As Birdie, you can standing hard punch it, but yeah, your opponent has probably got something that they can punish that with, but just whether they will is another thing. So, yes, if your opponent is getting wise to that and they are neutral jumping, as long as they're not reacting to it, some opponents will see that and react to neutral jump to it, and that's the opponents that have got pretty decent reaction speed, and they're the most deadly because they will cut through Birdie's offense pretty quickly. But there are plenty of players who will just see something like that coming and will just neutral jump whether they've seen it or not. The best way to deal with that, once they start doing that, is, and it has a slight risk reward on it, you do this. Straight into that. So you see the risk that if your opponent does it, then if you do it, then your opponent your opponent's standing right next to you, and they can tag you. But if they jump out, then you get pretty decent damage on that. And it's sort of a high level and high risk tactic to use, but it really, really does have its place. If you want, you can hold hard kick down and try and react to it. I find that a lot of the time I'm cancelling it even when my opponent jumped, so I just, a lot of the time, just go for it. I've just got a read and I just go for it. But yeah, if you want, you can go like that. Cancel, like hold the button. If you don't see your opponent jumping, you can cancel out of it. If you do see them jumping, then obviously just let it go and you've got your damage. So that's the gist of mixing up with Birdie. Your medium punch into headbutt, that's your main combo. Try and hit them from a distance where if they stick a button out, you're going to hit them and you're buffering into headbutt. So if you hit them with that if you don't hit them, then that medium headbutt isn't coming out. If they stick a button out and you hit them, then the medium punch combos into it. So we've talked about normals and specials. Now I'm going to go into slightly more specific stuff, and I'm just going to go back to that light kick chain. The light kick chain puts them close to you like that, so you can jump in and do a cross up. The medium kick version of it puts them far away, so that's actually useful for just chucking a can out. But most of the time, I find the light kick version to be more useful, and really just see what your opponent does, because if they're waking up, if they're breaking their fall, then you can go for a cross up and maybe straight into command grab after the cross up, that kind of thing. But some good things to do. This is a slightly more advanced thing that some people don't know about, and that is the light kick version of the chain. If you do it close, if you listen, Birdie will make a little sort of squeal noise to indicate. There you go. That will indicate that it's the close version. He doesn't make that sound on the far away version. Now the important difference between those two is if you try and do an overhead on the I've got counter hit set up, that's why that's working. If you try and do an overhead straight after the light kick chain and then try and combo into it, then it will not work. And the reason that won't work is because if you do it from far away, the get up of your opponent after that is slightly different from the close one. I have no idea why really, but it is. So it means that your overhead will be meaty, and you can, although that didn't work, you can combo into it, which is really useful. Okay, that still didn't work. I think my timing is just off. I do not know why that's not working. There you go. Okay, 3 hits. So that combo is if you immediately do an overhead and then you can combo it into light kick, and it's because their get up timing is slightly different, and it means that the overhead is hitting them on like the last frame or two, giving you a little bit of extra time to combo in to that. And that's really useful because a lot of opponents aren't going to be blocking, not going to be thinking about the overhead after they're hit by that. They're not going to be thinking about overhead most of the time, really. So you can get 203 damage just from that extra thing. So that's useful against fireballers. They chuck a fireball out, you catch them with that. You've got some extra damage coming after that if you can actually combo it. Right, that is pretty much it for normals and specials. V reversal. I'm finding that the main use of his V trigger is, of his V gauge, is V reversal. Because, as I was saying, Birdie has such a hard time with people getting in and rushing him down, that once they're in, you need to get them off you. You need to get them off you pretty quickly. So using a bar to get them off you is more useful than V-trigger, I find, a lot of the time. It depends how the flow of the match is going and how much of a life lead you've got, and how much V-trigger, how much V-gauge you've actually got, but yeah, using that is pretty useful. And then once you've got that and you've taken they've got a big grey life, try and follow it up and take that grey life off, because that's just free damage just sitting on the table. If you don't use V reversal and you've managed to get a V trigger, then there are a couple of really good ways to get decent damage. I mean, Birdie has got decent damage generally, but especially when you've got V trigger, you can get ridiculous damage. So charge your bullhorn, your EX bullhorn, with light kick and hard kick, and then if you have one EX bar and V trigger, then you can release that, and then you can activate V trigger mode like this. So into V trigger and then light punch headbutt for 301 damage. That's pretty decent, considering that that's a pretty fast reactionary move that you can do that goes through a fireball, or it goes through any like poke that they're sticking out, and that's pretty decent. You're then in V trigger mode, so all of your walk speed is quicker, and your headbutts do extra hits, and including this. That does 2 hits now. Yes, now if you have 2 EX bars to use, then you can combo that into EX headbutt for 336 damage, and if you're in the corner, then you can get even more hits. So into that, into EX headbutt, So there you go, 353 damage, which is really not bad for 2 EX bars and V-trigger. I guess you're spending a fair bit of resources there, but you know, if you haven't used your V reversal throughout the game, and you just want to finish things out, then you can just hold down your 2 buttons, wait for them to do something stupid, and then enter into that combo. The other decent way of using your V-trigger is off of a medium punch. Medium punch EX headbutt specifically. So if you do that, then you can cancel the first hit, and there is so much hits done still that you can get a follow-up. Now the best thing to do there, if you want to use, if you don't want to spend any more meter, which is probably the best way to go because you don't get much extra damage for using any more meter after that point of using that EX headbutt, is once you've pressed, so yeah, to activate V-trigger you're holding a hard punch and hard kick. What you want to do is with your thumb you want to keep holding down the hard kick button. The reason you're doing that is you're loading up bullhorn. There you go. So after you have activated V-trigger and you see the flames coming out, sorry, if you see the flames going up there, that's your indication for you to press down and hard punch and then release bullhorn. So really what you're doing is you're activating V-trigger, then you're doing that. And that does really decent damage. I mean, just those 2 moves, that does 248. So putting it all together, for 361 damage. That's really, really good, and that can be off of just fishing for that medium punch into EX, and then if you see it coming out, then there you go, 302 damage that time, fair enough. So it's pretty decent damage, but it can also be a punish. Someone's done something stupid, bang into that, 302 damage. Okay, did that do more damage in the corner? Possibly. But yeah, those are the 2 main uses for V-trigger. If your opponent is in the corner and you've got V-trigger, then you can do things like this. Nope, not that. You can do this. So only in the corner after medium punch headbutt will your V-trigger hit. I've rarely used that. Rarely have I got V-trigger. Am I in that situation in the corner? But yeah, I mean that is one of Birdie's most damaging combos. If you do have V-trigger and you do have super, say, you can do an extra light punch headbutt into super, and then even on a character like Birdie with loads of health, you've taken off more than half his health. Now V-trigger is really, really good once you've activated it because, as I was saying, your walk speed increases, your damage increases by 20%, and most of all, things like your EX headbutt now have armor. Now, having armor on a move that reaches that far and that quickly is really, really good. You also have armor on your normal, if I just get rid of V-trigger, on your normal headbutt moves on various frames. I think it's from frame 3 onwards for a few frames. With that, you've now got 1 hit of armor. So let's say your opponent is jumping in, then there you go. I absorbed that 1 hit of armor, and you can get through, which is useful for when you've maybe stuck out a button, and so you haven't got time to properly anti-air with a crouching medium punch. So like that, you can then go for that. So yeah, V-trigger is pretty good. It's pretty scary because now Birdie is faster, and really that just makes him much more mobile, much more able to just get in and mess you up. But yeah, as I was saying, I find V-reversal actually more useful overall because you're playing your game, keeping them out, and then when they do get in, V-reversal to get them out. Okay, so super. His super is 5 frames. It can be useful as an anti-air if your opponent jumps in. Ooh. Then you can tag them with that, and that does pretty decent damage. It's really useful for like when you've maybe stuck the can down and they jump over it. Then this is not really possible in training mode. So yeah, you do the can, they jump over it, and then you can take them out. You kind of got to be ready for it. It's difficult to sort of react when you're just looking for other things, but if you're specifically waiting for them to jump in, then there you go. Be careful if they're jumping in too close to you. If they're jumping in too close to you, because it's possible that you will do your super, and because it moves forward a little bit, that you'll go under them, and they'll cross you up, and then they get a free punish. Now, going back to hard kick, I was talking before about hard kick doing a crush counter and being really useful. But if, say, your opponent jumps in, okay, if your opponent jumps in, you anti-air, and then sticks the button out. Actually, let me record that again. Okay, just so I can get a crush counter. So they stick a button out after that, then you get a counter hit, crush counter combo, as I was saying before. But if they try and jump out, and they don't stick a button out, then what happens is this. So they jump in, and let's say they try and jump out afterwards. Then they still stay grounded, which is really important, and they eat that hard kick. So the hard kick is doing 100 damage, which is pretty decent. But you've actually got 5 frames to link something else after that. So let's try this. No. So 5 frames, you've got your light punch to link into that for a total of 232 damage, which is pretty decent. But as I was saying, the super is also 5 frames, so you've actually got plenty of time, if you're aware of it, to go into your super, and that will combo. Here we go, hang on. Damn it. Okay, here we go. There we go. So that combos. So if you're aware of it, if you're aware of reacting to that hard kick, then you can get super. Although that didn't combo. But you get the idea. Okay. So that's main use of super. It is invincible, I think, for the first 5 frames of startup, which means that if you're at this kind of range, and let's say you jumped in the air, and you're maybe hoping that Ryu will do a fireball as you come down, feel free to just buffer the motion of the super on there, on the way down, and then if they stick a fireball out, then it will go through the fireball and it will tag them. I mean, that's a very specific situation, but you know, think about what applications you can use that for. Just bear in mind that it does have that invincible startup, so at this sort of distance you can go through certain moves and get your super out. Okay, so that's it. I've talked about normals, specials, V-trigger, super. So that's just basically how Birdie is played, and I'm going to talk about matchups now. Now, I firmly believe that Nash is the worst matchup for Birdie. He really, really is, because Nash has everything he needs to keep him out. Even a really, really mediocre Nash is just going to walk backwards, do fireball, fireball, fireball. In fact, I'm going to switch to Nash so I can show you how to get around some of Nash's moves. So, Nash. Okay, so yeah, so even a mediocre Nash is going to be walking backwards, sonic booming, sonic booming, sonic booming. And what he wants you to do is he wants you to jump over them, because it's really, really simple for him to just tag you out of the air and do decent enough damage to you, just tagging you out of the air. And he can do his like EX size, whatever it's called. that move to tag you out the air. Sonic Scythe. There you go. So that's pretty decent damage to just tag you out the air, and he can do it really, really late. Just as you're about to land on him, he does that, and he's got you. But he's also got other moves, like he can tag you out the air with that. And that is it. And hard kick. So he'll do that, you jump over, he does that. So really just resist the temptation to jump in against him. Just walk forward. So let's just... So he's going to be doing this for days. So just accept that you're going to be taking chip damage off this guy. Just walk forward. And get close enough to do forward and hard punch. That's really useful in this matchup. What's also really useful is down forward hard punch. Here we go. You see, that will go under if you do it early enough. And once you're in, then they start panicking. You can also neutral jump a couple of times possibly, and then do your chain. But again, you've got to kind of do it preemptively. You can't react to it because it's too late by that point. So stay at that range where they think they're safe. Jump over one, and then go for the chain. And then once you've got the chain, then you're right next to them, and you can just make the most of your offense. Because if Nash doesn't have V-Trigger, then he can't do a lot if you're right in his face. It's just, Nash is ridiculous because once he does have V-Trigger, and it's only a 2-bar V-Trigger, then he can just get out for free. There is some tech to kind of beat his V-Trigger activation, but most of the time they're going to mask it behind a sonic boom, and it's going to be difficult. So do that. Do your dolphin dive to go over his sonic booms as well, which is really useful. And again, once you've done that, just really, really capitalize on getting in and doing your damage. Now, when they are in the corner, they're going to start panicking, and they're going to want to do this, that kind of thing. They're going to be doing it in the corner and in the middle of the screen and everywhere. Nash players will do that a lot because a lot of people aren't reacting to that, but you absolutely have to in this matchup. Just crouching medium punch is your friend here. You can do it with standing hard punch, but it's not really worth it because it's a slower move, and if you do it too late, then you're just going to get tagged. And what you really don't want is to get tagged by that. You want to, at every opportunity that he does anything like that, anti-air him. And it's the same again, as soon as you've anti-aired him with that, then you can pressure him with that hard kick or your command throw, like so. And so those are really the main ways to get in on Nash. The main way, in fact, is, so let's say he's doing Sonic Scythe, Sonic Scythe, Sonic Scythe, Sonic Scythe, usual brainless Nash play. If you charge your bullhorn, then release it if you're at the distance where that's going to work. Now, at this sort of distance, he can block in time. So it is tricky because they're going to be walking back constantly, keeping you at that distance. Just get ready to do that, and you've kind of got to do it preemptively. Again, you can't react at those further distances, but that is your best weapon against Nash, because that is how you're going to get in against a really horrible Nash, and then just press them once you're in. And that's it pretty much against Nash. Sim, I thought was a pretty bad matchup, but I find myself getting used to the matchup more now. I think Sim does win the match. Birdie. Sim. There we go. Yeah, Sim does win. I don't know why it says I've got 4,582 LP. It's been saying that for about the last 2 weeks. It's just because Capcom servers are broken as usual. So, Sim, he's going to keep you out with all kinds of buttons and make your life pretty difficult as Birdie. There you go, one of them, one of them, one of them. Just tagging lots of buttons. So, you can stay out of that range. And your light kick chain can grab limbs, although it didn't there. So this isn't the greatest example, but let's. There you go. So yeah, it grabs limbs, and then once you've got him down, then you start your offense. Again, the bullhead, really useful to go through his moves and really capitalize on it once you're in. And also, yeah, his forward hard punch is probably, this is the matchup where it's the most useful. So get close enough, get his rhythm, and then try and go through his limbs with that hard punch. Like that. And if you do get a counter hit, then all the better. You can do things like that. And every hit really hurts Sim because he's got hardly any health. Now, I find that with this matchup, I'm using V reversal less and less because what I want is I want to build up my V trigger meter as quickly as I can, and then just raw activate it, or you know, I can safe activate it like that. Because once you're in V trigger, it means that your EX bullhead has got ridiculous range, and it will go through any limb because it's now got one hit of armor. And so that's so useful. So if they do a yoga fire or they do a limb, then you'll just hit him from any decent distance. And if I find also really useful is if Sim has blocked that because you haven't actually tagged him with it, as soon as you finish that, go into another one because they haven't got anything really quick enough to punish that. And a lot of Sims, I'm sure he has got something quick enough to tag it, but a lot of Sims are trying to put something in afterwards that isn't quite fast enough to completely beat it. So they block it, and then you go through their next hit and tag them with that. But yeah, all Sims are different, but I find that pretty much every Sim I've played against is getting beaten by that. He is going to be doing his instant teleport, his instant air teleport like this, and then trying to hit you out of the air with it. So just be ready, crouch medium punch all day, getting in with that. And if he's doing the air teleport as opposed to the grounded teleport, then he's still going to be coming out of the air, down onto the ground like that, So you can stick a button out and try and tag them, because I find that most Sims are still trying to hit buttons after that. So get ready, hit them with it, and you can take decent damage off of that. And a lot of Sims rely on getting their damage off of these sort of gimmick teleports. So really just be ready to anti-air with that medium punch because it's so good and it's really quick enough. And then go in for more offense. So that's it pretty much for Nash and Sim. They are your two worst matchups. Everyone else is pretty much footsies. I don't know. I guess a lot of the matchups do differ, but I just wanted to go through those ones because they're pretty tricky, and those tools that I've spoken about really do help in the matchup. So I've put on a network request for a fight now, and so hopefully a fight will come along, and I can talk through. We can put it all into practice, and hopefully talk it through. It's going to be tricky for me to talk and play at the same time. I'm not great at multitasking because I am a man. So we'll see what happens. I've no idea who I'm going to fight against or what character, but we'll see what happens. Let's just hope that I don't go up against someone like Gagaper. Yeah, please comment on this video if you like it, if you didn't like it, if there's anything else that you think I could have added. Yeah, please comment if there's any other tech that you've got. In fact, one thing that I forgot to talk about, which I will do now until I get a fight, is I was talking before about how this does 309 damage. Let me just take off guard. Does 309 damage, and it also does 445 stun. Now, if you wanted to do a combo that does only 3 less damage but does more stun, so let's say your opponent has got maybe 2/3 their stun bar filled, and you want to make sure that the next combo is going to stun them, then you can do this, which is... Oh, no, missed it. Which is that. So it does 306 damage, but 497 stun. So it's not a super practical combo, because that light punch, you've got to be quite close to them to hit them with it. But it's just worth bearing in mind that's a legit combo if you're close enough, and if maybe you stun them and you want to go in for that combo instead and then lead into super, then that's also an option. Okay, so this is a Laura player, 2500 LP, so he knows how to play, but I guess he's not super experienced. So the thing with Laura is you just got to keep her out. You just got to keep her out. She's going to be trying to get in, and once she's in, she can make your life very difficult. So keep her out with your standing medium punch buttons, standing hard punch. Ooh. Oh, okay. So get them out with V reversal. Get them with the lovely command throw, which also took off all of their grey life. Go for one of those. There you go. Okay, so in the corner it's really good to dash forward, do that crouching light kick into command throw, because you're close enough to tag them with that. Okay. Okay, so he's jumping over that now. I don't know whether that's something that he's reacting to or... Now I did use EX bar there just because his stun was low and I wanted to make sure I got the extra stun to get him completely stunned. Oh, okay. So what I did there was I did standing medium punch buffered into banana peel, which is something that you can do. And it's not something that I'd advise doing too often because you are standing there pretty open to attack. But if you've sort of read that your opponent isn't immediately countering with another move, then you can set up that banana peel, and yeah, it played out that he went into a combo and landed in the banana peel, which was just something that actually happens more times than you think would happen. If you set up that banana peel and someone gets a hit on you, they think, okay, I'll go into this combo, but the banana peel's still there. They can get hit by it, and then you go straight into a combo. So there we go. That was an overview of Birdie. He's a pretty decent character. He's not top tier. He certainly isn't, but he's pretty decent. He's pretty solid. Like I said, he's just really susceptible to rushdown characters. Rushdown characters can make it very, very difficult for you. And also, people mixing up between their attacks and their throws. You know, Birdie doesn't want to risk trying to tech throws. He just wants to get you off and get that V reversal. So if you're going for throws, that throw will beat the V reversal. But he's pretty decent, and I think there's still a pretty decent scope for Birdie tech coming along. So good luck if you're a Birdie player. He's a great character, and I hope you have fun. And if you see me online, my name is Techula, some random name I came up with on Street Fighter 5. Then please invite me to a game, and I'll be happy to do a first to 5 with you. Cheers, guys. Bye.